Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the introduction there. Appreciate it very much, and thank you very much for the opportunity to chat with you today, and to Anders for the invitation. I'm very excited to chat with you. The theme of the conference says "Go Digital," and as I thought about that, as I was thinking about what to chat about today, it was a little bit sort of hard for me because we sort of always been digital. We sort of are a digital company. We're a technology company. That's sort of what we do is weave. The supply chain is really is part of the company. The technology is part of the company. So it's sort of been digital from day one. So I think the best way to sort of get that across is I'm going to give you kind of an overview of Amazon, who we are, how we weave in operations, and how we really weave in our strategy into everything we do, because it really is that confluence of technology, of supply chain, and of our overall strategy of customer obsession, long-term thinking that sort of we think is sort of a secret to our success, to the extent that we have some success. Okay, so then jumping into what this looks like, again, I'm going to give you kind of an overview of Amazon. We are here in Europe. I used to run our European operations, but we're not as big up here in the Nordics yet. So I don't want to take anything for granted and make sure you sort of understand who we are. Then talk about specifically supply chain at Amazon, the Amazon way, our playbook, what we've developed. And then talk about innovation at Amazon. That's really sort of core to how we think about our business, is constantly thinking about what our customers need next, never being satisfied with where we are, but always thinking sort of down the road, and give you some insight into how we do that. And then just ending with it's still day one. This idea of this is sort of core to who we are, is that it's day one. It's day one for us as an organization. It's day one for our communities. It's day one for the human race, and that there's much more innovation, much more possibilities to unlock in the future. So to start, it's probably the most important thing you have to understand about Amazon really is this, is that it starts with we always start with a customer and work backwards. When Jeff Bezos founded the company back in 1994, and then we went live in 1995, his goal was to create Earth's most customer-centric company, to literally build the company around the customer. And that's done a number of different ways. It's today, everybody's Amazon is a little bit different depending on what you buy and how you shop and what you're interested in. The company's literally, the website is literally built around the customers. From an operations and product development standpoint, it's always starting with the customer and working backwards. We always start any initiative with a press release of what this product or what this initiative is going to look like from the customer's perspective, and then build it back from there. The customer obsession is weaved into everything we do. Every person that we hire, every product that we kick off, any big decision that we make is really just always centered on the customer. So if there's nothing more that you would learn today, it's really this. It really does, at Amazon, everything we do starts with the customer and works backwards from there. How do we think about customer obsession? What does it mean? So in other words, what do customers want? Well, this is the way we sort of think about it. Again, our goal is to be Earth's most customer-centric company, to be the place where customers can discover and buy anything online. And over time, our goal is to serve every person, every individual on the planet. And what we think, how we think about what that means, it really comes down to price, convenience, and selection. We believe that there's all sorts of things that are changing in the world, all sorts of innovations, disruptions that are coming down the pike, but there are some things that really are not changing, and these really are some of them. We don't really have customers who call us and say, we love Amazon, but we wish you'd raise your prices. We don't have customers that call us and say, we love Amazon, but could you be less convenient? Could you be slower? Could you make it harder to surf your website? And we don't have very many customers calling us and saying, gee, there's too much stuff. Could you only sell one thing? So in other words, these are sort of consistent pillars that we believe are going to remain consistent, and we're going to continue to build our business around them. when it comes to supply chain, every part of it is weaved into the supply chain, as I'll talk a little bit more about. And so as we take those pillars and then we sort of weave it into our strategy, this is really our strategy. This actually is famously a napkin that, or a graph that Jeff Bezos wrote on a napkin back in 2001 about sort of describing our strategy as a business. And we call it the virtuous cycle. And you can start with any place on the cycle and sort of go around it, and they're self-fulfilling. So if you start at, like, say, customer experience, again, we believe that customers want more selection. So when you bring in, when you have a great customer experience, that brings more sellers onto the platform. As more sellers come onto the platform, that brings more traffic onto the platform, which drives more sellers onto the platform, which drives more selection, which drives a better customer experience. It just becomes a self-fulfilling, a self-perpetuating flywheel. As it goes around, it enables us to lower our cost structure, which enables us to lower prices, which then, of course, drives customer experience, and so on and so forth. And this virtuous cycle really has, again, it was sort of enumerated. It was originally sort of described about 15 years ago, but to this day is core to our strategy, and really sort of how we think about the business. Now, who are our customers? I was in the introduction. We were introduced as a retail company. That's certainly one way to describe us. We're often described as a technology company, as a platform for small businesses. We're sort of all of those. But we think about our customers in basically 4 segments as of today. You know, there's certainly more customers that are coming all the time. But the first customer segment is the one that you're probably most familiar with, which is our consumer customer segment. This would be Amazon.com, the Kindle, Amazon Fresh is a grocery business that we have in the U.S. Whole Foods is a recent acquisition, which is a grocery store in the U.S. and in the U.K. That's our primary consumer business. That's one group of customers. The next would be our sellers. People may or may not know that more than half of the stuff that is available on Amazon is actually not owned or even stored by Amazon. It's owned by small and medium businesses all over the world who put their stuff on Amazon to sell it. And we very much think of those sellers as customers as well. We also have businesses where we fulfill that stuff. So if you want to take your stuff and put it on Amazon, you can do that and store it and fulfill it yourself, or you can give it to us. And we have a business called Fulfilled by Amazon, which we'll store it in our fulfillment centers, hold on to it, and then when it sells, we'll ship it to your customers for you. And then our third group of customers would be what we call the content creators and entrepreneurs. And this is everything from our Amazon Studios, which is headquartered in Los Angeles, to publishing, to Kindle Direct, to a business that is in my world called Amazon Flex, which is sort of an independent contractor model for last mile delivery. And we think of all these individuals or all these companies as a group of sellers, as a group of customers as well. And then the last one you might be familiar with would be our enterprise customers, and this includes probably the biggest would be Amazon Web Services, our cloud computing business. So this is how we think about our customers today, but this is something we're constantly thinking about, is making sure that we understand who exactly are our customers. And it's evolving. It's evolving as our business evolves. And so, you know, the secret to our success was really this. If you go back to sort of the history of Amazon and to Jeff's early thinking in the late 90s, you'll see these themes really consistently coming out of that area all the way to what we're doing today. And we always think about, you know, our secret sauce really is number 1, customer obsession. Number 2, long-term thinking, which we'll talk about a little bit more. Number 3, innovation, and those 3 then become sort of the pillars. Always thinking about the customer, always thinking long-term about customers' need and what's going to change. Always never being satisfied with what the service or the product is today, but always thinking on what's next, anticipating customers' needs next, thinking, driving innovation on behalf of the customer, and then weaving all those together through operational excellence. Definitely in our operations, in our supply chain, but really throughout the organization. And frankly, that's it. I mean, I'm going to talk a lot, more about what these things mean to us. But this is how we think about our business. As an introduction to Amazon, it's really important to understand Prime. Prime is our membership program that is designed to offer a superior set of advantages, products, fast delivery, free downloads of video, all sorts of benefits to Prime members. It has been a very big success. It's one of those ideas that that was very much an innovative idea when it was launched about 10 years ago now, and it has proven to be a huge hit with our customers, and is now a core sort of it's a core brand and a core driver of our growth. Just to give you sort of a quick introduction to just a quick overview, so you get the scale of where we are today. We're nominally trailing 12-month basis, about 150 billion in sales, and plus or minus growing about 25% a year. So as we you sort of do the math there a little bit, you kind of, even if you decelerate that a little bit, and we don't take anything for granted, one of the things that's incredibly important, especially in supply chain, is just keeping up with the scale, because you kind of look at these numbers, you can see where they go in a couple of years. Okay, so let's talk about supply chain a little bit then, and what all this means to us in supply chain and us in operations at Amazon. First of all, it's important to understand our leadership principles, because again, as I mentioned at the very beginning, our entire view of the world, we don't really think about supply chain separate from the business, separate from the strategy, separate from the technology at all. We don't talk that way. We don't think about that way. It's just part of taking care of our customers, and and clearly operations and supply chain is for us, we believe, is a key differentiator, because it allows us to speed things up. It allows us to deliver the selection. But it still starts with our leadership principles, and these 14 leadership principles are really core to our DNA at Amazon. I talked about the 3 pillars of customer obsession, long-term thinking, innovation. These really are the tenets that push that. This is how we look for talent. This is how we assess projects. This is how we assess projects. They're all important to supply chain. A couple of them are a little bit more important than others, which I'll dive into in a little more detail. So I won't go into each one of them right now, but I wanted to give you sort of a sense of how, what is important to us as we think about our culture. And then as we transition into another thing that's really important to understand about supply chain and operations at Amazon is sort of our playbook. And again, as was described at the very beginning, we were described as a retail company. And that is sort of typical, even though we don't necessarily see ourselves as a retail company. Partly retail, partly technology. But really, from an operations standpoint, we think of ourselves more as a manufacturing company. So those of you in manufacturing would really be very familiar with how we think about our playbook. Traditionally, warehousing and logistics is sort of, batchy and moving lots. So our business is really about continuous flow, single piece flow. It's really about optimizing bottlenecks. We use a lot of, when you go into our plants, you'll see a lot of lean thinking. Those of you that are familiar with TPS, you'll see andon cords as an example on our front lines, where any one of our associates on the shop floor can pull a cord and stop the line. You'll see a structured defect reduction process like Six Sigma. Again, all of these elements should be very familiar to a lot of folks from manufacturing. They're not necessarily too widespread in traditional retail, and I think that for that reason, it's a little bit of a differentiator for us at Amazon. even further than that, a lot of the folks that lead operations, in fact, that lead the entire company at Amazon, actually originally came from manufacturing. Give you an example of one, which is the CEO of the Amazon consumer business. This would be Amazon.com. That 1/4 of the customer set that I told you about. His name is Jeff Wilkie. He started Amazon also in 1999. Came from Allied Signal. His background is chemical engineering, and then engineering at MIT from the Leaders from Manufacturing program. And again, see, from that very beginning, he infused the manufacturing mindset, the manufacturing discipline and processes into the systems, and we continue to foster that to this day. One of the ways that we foster that is that we have a partnership with large institutions throughout the world. One of them being MIT in the U.S., and they also have a sister program in Asia that is called Leaders for Global Logistics, and we are a partner with MIT in that program that allows us to bring the best and brightest out of manufacturing into our organization, and allows us to do research, allows us to be very up to speed and up to date on what's going on, in sort of the leading edge of manufacturing. If you kind of take a look at the other partners in that program, you get a sense of what I mean by traditionally retail companies don't really think this way. Our partners in that program at MIT are traditional manufacturing companies. You have all these traditional manufacturing companies, and then you have Amazon right in the middle of that. So again, that's just a sort of an example I wanted to give you of how we think about our playbook. What does it really mean to be in operations at Amazon? Okay, let me now take that sort of broad playbook now and sort of bring it down to, okay, let's give you some examples of what that means. As I mentioned all the way back at the beginning, we think that customers want three primary things. They want price, they want convenience, and they want selection. So let's take convenience for a minute and give you an example here of what that means operationally. One of the innovations that we've been driving is just speed. Just customers always want it faster and faster. When I started at Amazon back in 1999, it was cool enough just to order things online. People thought that was cool; they would show up. And then a few years later, well, that wasn't good enough. It had to be there this week, and then it had to be there in 4 days, 3 days, 2 days. These days, people want it now, and this is an example where Prime Now is delivery in 1 hour. As I mentioned, we always start with the customer and work backward. This is an example of we always put out a press release internally of what this is going to look like, and then these are all written narratives that are put out, and they always describe what the product or initiative is going to look like. The Prime Now example really is a good example of a lot of the things that that are core to our business: that customer obsession, long-term thinking, innovation, and then operational excellence. Just to get the consistently deliver within an hour. It took a lot of innovation. It took a lot of iteration as well to get it right. Let me give you just a quick video of one of our teams around the world, what this looks like, how we get it done.
1時間便入りました。お願いします。ワンナナオーダー行ってきます。
in the spirit of continuous improvement, I was given feedback to stand in the middle, so I will move over here to the middle. So Prime Now, again, it's one of the ways. So when we're thinking about innovation, it's about dropping a lot of seeds, and then letting those grow into saplings, and then some of those saplings will grow into big trees, but not all of them, and that's okay. So Prime Now is an example of one of these saplings. It's growing pretty fast. It's now in about 50 cities around the world. That was Tokyo, as you can imagine. And customers love it. Customers love it for the stuff that they need basically right now. Let me then give you a sort of a little bit of a broader introduction then to more of what sort of operations at Amazon looks like. And this is an example from Prime Day, but I wanted to show you this because it really is kind of representative of how we do operations at scale now all over the world. Prime Day is as it would sound, it's a celebration of our Prime program where we pass along a lot of deals and a lot of special promotions to our Prime customers around the world. It has become one of our biggest days, sort of like the holiday season. But more and more, it's become sort of, again, as we continue to scale, it's become very representative of how we do things at scale.
It is a marathon of merchandising at the speed of a click. From the United States to China and Japan, from India to the UK, 13 countries in all, spanning 30 hours to make up Prime Day 2017. Not just millions of items, but deals from thousands of small businesses and sellers from all points on the planet.
So we got our gateway team to the left, we got our marketing team.
This is where it all comes together, a series of, until now, top-secret war rooms at Amazon headquarters in Seattle. Amazon Worldwide Consumer CEO Jeff Wilke let us tag along to witness this Super Bowl of logistics from the inside.
There are people all over the world who are taking care of customers right now, and that's the only way this works.
This is the ultimate teamwork, it seems.
It's the ultimate teamwork, and then there are roles and responsibilities too.
Greg Greeley is Vice President of Prime Worldwide, a job that doesn't leave a lot of time for sleep as Prime Day follows the sun from time zone to time zone around the world.
The launch of every country is obviously the most stressful. That's probably when I'm biting the nails the most, is just making sure that we can rapidly respond to our customers' demands in each country.
The coordination between countries and literally every segment of the company is immense. Tuesday morning in Seattle, but midnight in Japan, and time to sign off.
I just want to say thank you to the whole JP team. Everybody there should be super proud. I know everyone's tired, so thank you for all the hard work. We took great care of customers over the last 30 hours. Thank you.
The logistics, trucks, motorcycles, boats reaching remote islands, even a fleet of Prime Air planes, all of it seamless.
Well, they said the turnaround time is like 28 minutes for these things, so this is just emptied. It's about to be reloaded, and then it'll take off. A lot of people working hard to make sure that we process all the orders, and then we have to deliver them over the next couple of days.
There are lighter moments too. Customer service associates working from home show off the eclectic assortment of Lucky Charms, even pets.
This is all the stuff that's like right off camera, and it is always there.
The results? Amazon's single biggest day ever, a 60% increase from last year, and sales growth by small businesses and entrepreneurs was even higher. In the US alone, more than 200,000 dresses, 3.5 million toys worldwide, and record-breaking Echo sales. All that plus discounts globally reaching hundreds of millions of dollars, and Prime Now deliveries from California to Washington recorded in a stunning just 12 minutes from click to door. In the end, this ultimate test of teamwork across borders, languages, and time zones reveals something else too. Customers everywhere have more similarities than differences.
And we all aspire to have a good life, right? And to have a family that's comfortable, and Amazon can help with all those things.
Okay, so that's a very quick introduction to operations at Amazon. I wanted to move then into sort of innovation on Amazon and talk about this a little bit in terms of, again, how we think about it. The first thing, again, sort of goes to again, the who we are, and we really think of ourselves again as a pioneering company. We look for people that are inventors, that like to pioneer, that like to invent on behalf of customers. Just to give you a little bit more history of our beginnings and sort of this pioneering spirit, we're actually not that old. Our company's only about 25 years old now. This is where Jeff Bezos started the company, just out of Seattle back in 1994, and this is what the first website looked like. Interestingly, as a piece of trivia, all the way back to the relationship with MIT, the first book sold on Amazon.com was a book on fluid mechanics that went to a professor at MIT. And then, over the years, it's grown. But we've continued that pioneering spirit. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the way we think about pioneering and innovation is to drop a lot of seeds. There are a lot of ideas at Amazon, and a lot of them get funded, and a lot of them go. And one of the key elements culturally that's really important in a strategy like that is you have to be okay that a lot of them don't work. That's okay. It's okay to fail at Amazon, very much. In fact, we learn a ton. We learn a ton from our failures. Some of the most epic failures at Amazon, say the Fire Phone, the technology in that turned into some of our biggest successes, which would be the Echo as an example. And so that concept of being okay with failure, being okay with being misunderstood, is very important, we think, to driving innovation. Some of these innovations, let's take customer reviews right in the middle. You may not think of that as an innovation today, but actually, that actually was an innovation that Amazon drove back in the late '90s, where the whole idea of putting negative reviews on a website of things that you're selling was just anathema. It was like people thought we were crazy. In fact, Jeff tells a story about in the early days when he allowed customer reviews, negative customer reviews, to be put on the books that he was selling, and publishers would call him up and say, "What, are you crazy? I mean, you're in the business of selling books. If you let customers tell people the book's no good, customers aren't going to buy it. That's crazy. You're stupid." And Jeff said, "No, you don't understand. We're in the business of building trust, building trust with our customers long term. And if we're transparent with them, if we give them the truth, we give them the information, let them make a decision on their own, we believe that will be more powerful long term." And of course, customer reviews these days have become pretty ubiquitous around the web and other parts of retailing. Some of the innovations, the Kindle is another one that was. This was a product that we developed in the 2007 that really sort of introduced. I mean, there were other e-readers around, but it was the first one that was really convenient and customers liked, and it has turned into a very important product for us, and also sort of changed people's lives as well. I meet so many people when I'm traveling around the world, especially business men and women like yourselves who have their Kindle with them, and they say just the little thing of having one device that can store hundreds of books changes the way you travel. You're not dragging around all these books or running and buying all those magazines. Little things like that, we take a lot of pride in the way that it drives convenience and helps change people's lives. The Echo, the entire Echo suite of products now is another set of innovations. Again, as I mentioned earlier, that was actually some of the core technology in it that has been very successful today came from some products that didn't work very well. And that's very much the way that's cool. We love that. And every time there's a product that doesn't work, we tear it apart and say, okay, what pieces of it can we use somewhere else? And it's turned into really a new interface now for the web that is growing, that is driving convenience and growing rapidly. And so, yeah, that's that's sort of how we think about this whole idea of a big company that is innovative and pioneering at its core. Let me give you another example of, again, I mentioned these saplings. This is another, this is very much a sapling. You probably, even, this is really a seed. This is just an idea that is very small today, but it's an idea of one of hundreds, even thousands that are going on in the company. This happens to be in Seattle, a little experiment that we're running that I want to show you.
4 years ago, we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome to Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind about that cupcake, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So, how does it work? We used computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion, much like you'd find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology. Once you've got everything you want, you can just go. When you leave, our Just Walk Out technology adds up your virtual cart and charges your Amazon account. Your receipt is sent straight to the app, and you can keep going. Amazon Go. No lines, no checkout. No, seriously.
Again, just an example of some of the experiments that we're running. This one is kind of fun. It's kind of funny. You talk to some of the early customers on it. The number one set of feedback from customers is they thought they were stealing, which is hilarious. Okay, so I want to kind of wrap it up there, and I come at some of the things that I'm happy to talk, answer any questions. Some of the themes that you've talk about is again, we really, the whole idea of thinking starting with the customer and working backwards, thinking long-term, driving innovation. You heard Jeff Wilke talk about it as well. It really, at the end of the day, it does come down to making people's lives better, giving them time back. Jeff Bezos talks about giving people their time back. And this is very powerful. And to me personally, as an employee of the organization, I remember years ago when I was running customer service as an example. And it was in the early days, I had a customer send me an email and said, "Would I please call him?" And we didn't call people very much back then; it was all email. But he wanted to tell me a story and give me some feedback. His story was that he was paraplegic; he couldn't leave his apartment; he was a shut-in, and he wanted to just tell me how Amazon had changed his life. He was a voracious reader before an accident that he had, and after the accident, he couldn't get to the library, get to the bookstore to buy books. And Amazon completely changed his life, and he just wanted to tell me that. Those are the kind of stories you heard Jeff talk about, making people's lives better, that we think about, as the end game. That's the goal. The goal is to make people's lives better, give them times back, and help improve communities around the world. And so I just want to end on that note and give you sort of an example of what that looks like, and then I'll open it up for Q&A. Thank you very much.